Yo, what is up, creatives? Welcome back to another podcast episode. It's great to have you here today. So on today's episode, I got somebody a little bit different, someone who's not necessarily really in the videography or filmmaking space, but he's actually in the photography space, the car photography space, to be more exact. And whatchamacallit, the reason why I have him on the show today is because whatchamacallit, I love his creative style. I just love his thought process when it comes to his work. And, I thought that would be pretty valuable when it comes to, videographers, filmmakers out there. Because, videography is pretty much just photography, just, it's motion pictures. But anyway, I hope you guys will enjoy the episode. I really had a fun time making it. And I will catch you guys in the next episode. What's going on, creatives? Welcome back to another episode of Documenting the Life of a Filmmaker. I'm joined today with one of my friends, Joe Palermo. He just told me freaking like 2 seconds ago and I already butchered it. But what's going on, bro? How you doing today?
Not too bad. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, no problem, man. No problem. So, the reason why I got you on the show is, I saw your Instagram and I was mighty kind of impressed with, some of your work. And, if I'm actually going to be honest with you, you're kind of one of the people that got me interested into doing car photography. So I would like to thank you for that.
Oh, yeah, no, it's cool to knowing someone got inspired off what I've done. That's pursue it further. Mm-hmm. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah, for sure. I wasn't able to do much of it because, as soon as I started, our whole state went on a stay-at-home order. And so I started trying to work with people, and then, that kind of got clapped.
Yeah.
And then, it's kind of hard for me, too, is because, I drive a Nissan Versa, and that's not kind of the most picture-perfect car. No one wants to be scrolling down their Instagram feed and be like, oh, a Nissan Versa, no one cares. You gotta get something nice. Mm-hmm. And so, that's a work in process right now.
Yeah. No, there's you do, but you also you can have something really nice, but it doesn't matter if you don't know how to shoot it. So
yeah, that is very true. And that's kind of what mentality I kind of had with it too. It's like, even though it's kind of not the most picture pleasing car, my goal is I want to showcase it in a way where it actually kind of looks more of a picture pleasing. So and you definitely, I saw you had started some of your stuff there, and that was very nice. So yeah, I appreciate it.
It's all about how you attack it.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So I guess the first question I want to ask, since you and me we got connected fairly recently, off of a shared contact, which was Noah. Just tell me a little bit about how you got connected with him on Instagram.
So I don't remember exactly how, but I'm pretty sure it was like, sometimes, I'll go scrolling through some of the more artistic photography hashtags on Instagram, and, I came across his page one day and I was scrolling through that. I was like, wow, this is incredible. And, since then, just connected with him on occasion, always, I love his work. I think it's absolutely, his work's absolutely incredible, and I definitely try and take some inspiration as far as what I can, maybe tweak with my own off of his stuff. But he's definitely one of the top people in the photo game that I definitely look as far as like, where do I want to take this and who could I learn from? And he's up there.
Yeah, that's dope, dude. And I think you and me we can relate to that because, I had a similar story with connecting with him. I was trying to grow my Instagram page at the time. And as I mentioned in the second episode, I was like, oh, I need to go find creatives and, just put a comment underneath their picture and be like, oh, this is good work, follow me and crap. This stupid old crap like that. And yeah, I definitely, he has a lot of talent, and I noticed myself that I've been taking some inspiration from him as well. On top of that, I wanted to also ask, what are some other professional photographers, that have influenced your work?
So who do we got? Definitely Peter McKinnon's work I always love.
Definitely.
I like his a lot. Evan Ramp down in Atlanta, his stuff, I love his stuff too, and learning his editing style is something I want to pursue a little more. A couple other guys, especially in the auto world. One guy I follow out in California, his name's Josh at Clutch Media on Instagram. His stuff's amazing. Who else? A couple other people. Oh, there's the one, I can't remember his name, but it's Western New York Scenery on Instagram, his work. There's a bunch of people. Noah's definitely. Who else? A couple of the other guys, in the auto game. The one guy I'm friends with, Manny, he's got some good work. There's a lot of people in different avenues who I try and take after from as far as what I can learn.
Definitely. And what would you say, how do you incorporate, their techniques into your photography?
So you just try and find, for auto example, it's like I scroll, I see hundreds of auto photos a day from people who I'm friends with, and it's like, just finding something that it's like, I've done this, it's like, or that right there, if something sticks out, then I'll be like, next time I'm out shooting, it's like, what could I do to maybe incorporate that a bit and then edit it to fit my style as to how I want a photo to look.
100. Why can I not speak today? God, it's probably because I stayed up to 3 o'clock in the morning editing.
Hey, that's good. That's good.
It's a good excuse, but I don't know. But
gotta do those late night grinds. Without them, where would we be at?
Hey, you got that spot on, my brother. So I guess we can move on to here. What got you interested in photography? What's your backstory like?
Oh man. Let's see. So, I don't know. It's one of those things. It's like having parents who've always done not necessarily photo, but some video, basic video stuff. Always growing up, having access to a camera. I did some stuff with film point and shoot when I was younger, but then, I started getting some more digital point and shoot, and that, tinkered with that. And then when I started going to public school, I started taking more digital art classes, and I definitely got a lot more hands-on with that. And then I was like, all right, now this is definitely something, that I want to do. And I started learning more stuff, finally started tinkering more with Adobe stuff. And that definitely helped a bunch. Got a DSLR after I graduated, and then, just been messing with, trying to improve with where I can go with that since then. It's just, I've always kind of one of those, I've always grown up with access to it. So it's just, when you grow up with access to stuff and you start to tinker with it and you find that you're enjoying it and you're not terrible at it, it's like, the more you want to do it, I've had a ton of fun doing it. So it's why I still keep doing it today.
For sure. Going back off of that, you mentioned that your parents, they were into photography and, doing videos and stuff. Were they doing that professionally, or were they doing that just based on hobbies?
So nothing like professionally. It's, my dad's always just done video stuff for our local, for our family and stuff. And my mom, who went to college for some form of art, which I don't remember what, but, and I've always had access to a camera, and we've always, it's something we've kept around, and just over the years I've improved, gotten more into it, improved my equipment, and it's just, when you start, it's like, oh, I like doing it with this, but then you get, better equipment, and it's like, oh, now I'm really enjoying this a lot. So it's just, the more you get into it, and the better, and once you start getting your hands on better stuff, if you can enjoy it with some basic stuff, if you find that you're enjoying it a lot with a point and shoot, go out and invest the money, because it'll be the best money ever spent.
100% agree. Now, I know your focus on Instagram right now is photography. Do you ever see yourself getting into the video scene eventually?
So I've tried that. It's kind of one of those, for what I wanted to do, because I wanted to do more like auto video. But to do that, I have to interlink with people who want to do that and people who can, I do need some, it's not, auto video isn't something that you can necessarily do by yourself. You need a cameraman, you need some drivers. So I have to interlink better with the people to do it. But it's on those top of the list. If I had to make a list of things that I need to start getting into, that's like one or two. It's definitely up there, things I want to do.
Yeah, for sure. And I agree with you with that, because I mean, a lot of the ideas that I wanted to start implementing onto my car photography page, required me to have another person. Like, I was seeing how to do rollers and stuff, and like I think it'd be really dope to do rollers, but it's just getting the right location and doing it safely, because I know sometimes cops aren't too happy when you're sticking a freaking camera outside the window going 75 down the highway.
Yeah. No, well, I did one time. I live in an area where we don't have a whole lot of cops, so one time me and two of my buddies, I had my one buddy drive. We took turns shooting rollers of each other's vehicles. So like one of them would drive, I would sit in the bed of one of their trucks, and then we would shoot, whoever's driving another vehicle around. It was like 30 degrees out that day, so it was like freezing cold. But we didn't get the best content out of it, but it was a very interesting learning experience. But it was also, like you were alluding to, there are aspects to automotive photography and stuff you can do on your own, but if you want to get into some of the more intricate stuff, there's a lot of stuff you can go solo with it, but there's also a lot of stuff you do need, there is no way around, I can't shoot a roller without 3 other people, so.
For sure. And then I kind of want to, this is kind of more of a personal question, and, getting more into our own personal interests. What made you decide that you drive a Grand Marquis, right?
Yeah.
So
Grand Marquis, yeah.
So what made you the decision to get into, to invest in that type of car and get invested in that car community?
So I don't know. I was looking for my first vehicle, and I was, looking at a lot of junk boxes. And then I finally, one day we were coming home from looking at some vehicles, and we, was sitting on the side of the road somewhere up for sale. And, we took a look at it, called up the owner, and after, test driving, I was like, why don't we get this? And I knew I had work I wanted to do with it. And then, to start interlinking more with people who have, cars like mine, which is, it's been an unbelievable experience to be able to meet all these people and learn photography and stuff, even though I haven't met most of them in person yet. Hopefully when, knock on wood, coronavirus is all over, be able to get to travel the country more and meet them. But it's just, seeing other people's cars, I was kind of like, I started being like, I could leave this white and stock and everything, but I was like, I want to do something different, I want to do something unique. And that's, started investing in that, just interlinking with all those guys and, talking with them on the regular. And, that's where we're at right now, and it's been a great experience. Absolutely. I feel like, granted, I've only, it's the only car I've owned, so I can't attest for every car community, but it's, from everything I've seen, it's the best car community. Everybody's very supportive of each other, and it's a ton of fun.
Yeah, and that's, what I found kind of interesting is, I didn't even know there was actually like a car community, but for the Marquis, is it Marquis or Marquis?
So it's Marquis, and it's not necessarily just that. It's all the Ford, old cop cars, the really nice town cars, some of the other stuff, the Panther, as they call it, the Panther platform. Mm-hmm. Just everybody who's got that stuff in general, there is a big community for it, and it's definitely, for the stereotype that a lot of it gets, it's just, everybody drives cop cars around. it's it's so much more than that. Where it's at its best is so much more than just people driving around old cop cars. It's people who've actually invested into their idea and created something unique.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro. And it's kind of really cool to see a community build out of that. Another kind of question I kind of want to ask off of that is you have this car right now, but what other, if you had the chance, what other cars would you like to own?
It all depends where. Like, if I was living up here for the next 5 years in New York, probably like I would just convert my Mercury into a summer car and get like a Golf or a Subaru for a winter. If I could go somewhere nice, down like Arizona, Florida, parts of Texas that I want to go to, I mean, I'd probably go. I might go get another Panther car. I wouldn't mind a town. I wouldn't mind a purple Lincoln Town car. That would be cool. I've always wanted to. What was it? I always wanted to build like a late '80s Toyota Supra. I feel like that would be
pretty cool.
And I always wanted to build. What was it? What were those? A Fox body Mustang. I was like those late '80s Mustangs. I've always wanted to get one of those. So as far as like achievable goals, like that would be where I would want to shoot for.
For sure. So you're more of the old school guy when it comes to cars and stuff.
I mean, I think don't get me wrong, there's tons of new cars. Like if money was no object, I mean, I'd go buy me a nice orange Porsche right now. I'd go get I'd get a nice Porsche GT2 right now. But as far as like reasonable goals and also things that I could have more fun actually building, I'd rather get into something more that I could build than have to, be like, oh, here's, this $200,000 car that I can't do anything with, versus I could buy a $5,000 car, double my investment in modifications in it, and have, an absolute monster. So
for sure. I 100% get you. Yeah, me and you are kind of different, because kind of me, I don't want to do much modifications to a car. Like I would want to put, upgrade the exhaust pipe and, maybe put some turbo in it. But I'm more of a just general performance guy. Like, some of the cars that I've been looking at include like, BRZ or an FRS. I was recently looking at a Hyundai Genesis Coupe. And I was thinking about trying to talk to those things are fire.
Yeah, those are interesting.
And if I could afford it, I would get a Ford Focus RT.
That's the one. I'll always be sad at Ford for the fact they stopped making those, because that's like the one car that like I really would have. That's another one of those things I would have really loved to get my hands on one of those, but it's going to be so much harder.
Oh yeah, I know. And then, well, even kind of like. I mean, this is kind of off topic, but it's like I was kind of surprised that BMW stopped manufacturing the i8s.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's kind of move away from the car scene and back to photography. So I saw in your bio that you primarily shoot with a Nikon for your photos. Is that just brand preference, or what do you like about Nikon for photography more than like Sony or Canon?
Never were. Well, no. Did I? Were those? We had those in high school. I got to use it senior year. They were like point and shoot bodies, but they were like they were extreme, way more advanced than that. I think those were Canons. They're little black. They're little black Canons, I think, that look like point and shoots, but they have so much more features built into them. I've used more Nikon. Like I've never really used, outside of high school, I never really used a lot of Canon. It's always been more Nikon. I dabbled with Fujifilm way back in the day. That was not fun, honestly.
Why is that?
But it's just the thing was not a reliable piece of equipment. Granted, I mean, it was a cheap point and shoot, but it wasn't my equivalent cheap Nikon point and shoot. Still works to this day, and it's like 8-9 years old. I actually started with it was a more advanced point and shoot Canon. You know, it had a adjustable lens on it, but it wasn't like nearly as advanced as a DSLR. Which I didn't mind that. I didn't mind that. It was a nice camera. And then I got the D34, which I'd also played with in high school, which is why I wanted it, because I was like, you know, I had fun with that camera. It's like, well, how about I just, you know, right now, and then, you know, dabble with something that I had experience with. And I've had that for two years now, and I haven't done too much. The only thing I did, I bought a wide angle lens, fisheye lens. Bought a fisheye lens. That was interesting. That was it's very interesting to shoot with that. The angle, I haven't figured out like what the use. Quite frankly, I haven't figured out what the use for that wide angle is, but and then I had obviously, so it's mostly I've just worked with the 58 lens that came with it, and the long 300, which isn't, zoom lenses are not the most functional, but it when you're out of like a racetrack, which is where I've used it the most, it's amazing because I can sit in the bleachers and, you know, my local dirt track, I can sit in the bleachers and shoot stuff, and it's great. But no, it's just I've used Canon, but it's like for it's the familiarity and just the continuals of using Nikon. I've used it more, so it's one of those like, you know, I like it. I want to get into Sony mirrorless so bad, though. I haven't invested the money there yet, but it's something on the top of my list.
Oh yeah, Sony mirrorlesses are the goat. That was the first thing I did after I did a contract with one of my clients, and it was like for $1,500, and I was like, go away, Canon, because I mean I was shooting on a basic one anyway. It wasn't like any like Rebel T. It's a Canon SX70. Yeah. It's kind of trash, and so I was just like, I'm going to win an 872 right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind trying. I wouldn't mind trying a Rebel. I've never played with it. I'd rather get a 65. If I was going to get another DSLR, I'd go a couple steps up on the Nikon and get like a 6500 or something. Because get a 6500 with what are the telephoto lens? Get the advanced colors that come with that, because that'd be all my.
Yeah, that'd be fire, dude.
Yeah, if I get like a 65, if I get like a 60 somewhere over like the 5000 series with a telephoto, that'd be, if I was to do another DSLR. But I also want to try mirrorless out, because it's one of those, like, I see how it goes in both, you know, landscape, sunset, automotive photography. So it's like, I want to try it out and then figure out like where get something equivalent to the Nikon of a mirrorless, and then figure out like, that would be my next step of, all right, so I have this, I have the DSLR, and I have the mirrorless. Where do I go from here, you know?
Definitely. Moving on. What would you say are your career plans that you're looking at right now? Does that involve photography, or are you looking to have photography mainly as a hobby?
Yeah, you know, it's like one of those, like, I always sit there and think it's like, I could go to school for like auto body or something, which I do enjoy. Like I mean, I have the amount of auto body work I've done on my car. I mean, it's not something that I don't mind. Like, the one automotive thing that I can actually, like, as far as like mechanically or fixing wise, like, I actually like doing all body work stuff. So I've kind of always thought, it's like, I could do that, but it's also like, I feel like if I could take my photo game to where I need it to be, I could pursue, and I'd rather pursue that, quite frankly. You know, I'd rather get into like, do like marketing stuff, try and get like marketing stuff done with like an automotive manufacturer over, like, you know, some of the European, like McLaren, Lamborghini, some of those European companies, and do like marketing and photography with them. That's ideally what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's actually a pretty big, you know, I would say job for us, because I was looking on LinkedIn like a month ago, because, you know, I was in that same position where, you know, I kind of wanted to focus on, you know, car marketing and, you know, car photography. And like, I was looking on LinkedIn, and there was a ton of dealers looking for people for like social media strategists, and it's a big field. So, you know, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah. and I'm curious to see how it'll be after this is all said and done, because I want to see like, are the prices on this stuff just going to drop where everyone's going to grab it? But it's like, I want to get into it because I need to find a better area of the country where you have people with more higher up cars, more than just 3 months a year when it's nice up here. So it's, like the Phoenix, Miami, Jacksonville, Houston, Texas would be amazing. Some of those areas where it's like hotbeds for people with really nice cars, those are the areas where it's like, that's where I want to be. If I can get into like one of those markets, then I know like I could get way more advanced and start meeting other people, stuff, and get working. And, that's where I want to be as far as I could get more automotive stuff done.
What would you say some are your biggest challenges with photography? I know you mentioned earlier, about people. I would definitely say that's one big one. But what else would you say?
I mean, yeah, it's fine. Keeping it fresh so you don't do the same thing over and over again. Finding different ways to expand and develop what you do. But I mean, finding the people to interlink with and do it too, because a lot of the stuff I want to do is with other people. So it's like, some of that stuff I need to work on more, in order to be able to get what I really want done. But, it's the people aspect and always trying to, not be repetitive. Because repetitive's not any good. You want to keep it fresh and different all the time. So, not letting things get stale and just falling into the trap of doing the same thing over and over again just for, statistics.
Gotcha. And what would you say is your approach to that? Because I'm kind of curious myself, because, I sometimes fall in the trap where, I do my best to create unique stuff, but then there's sometimes like, it's a different photo, but it's the same concept.
Yeah, well, I mean, editing helps, finding different color tones, color grading the edits with, just always trying to find, it's like, I've done that angle before. What if I move it, down and this way, or getting closer and just, even if you're basing off of the same structure, how can I do this where it's like still the same structure, but I'm doing a different angle, I'm doing a different crop, I'm doing a different edit, finding a different way to do it. So it's, even if you have something that's still the same concept, adjusting it to a new scenario works too. And that's, how you can keep stuff fresh.
My man. I just got one final question for you. What does photography mean to you?
Oh, that's
I got the final, what would you say? I got the final boss question.
The final thought. It's like, I think it's like the ultimate form of like, there's always the musical expression and all the, other artistic forms, but I think it's the one art form where it's underappreciated, but I think it also takes, people don't, it's like, oh, I took this photo on my iPhone, it's so cool, but it's like to actually do what you want with it. It's an underappreciated art form that we see it everywhere, but we don't realize what, it's the most accessible, which allows us to, share with it and connect with people. So it's just, that's what I would say. It's probably the most accessible art form that the most people can do something with. It's just a matter of, do you choose to do more with it? Like, I can go out and get an iPhone right now and do a lot with it, but will I take that next step to be better at it?
Yeah, 100% agree, man. Freaking, I don't know what just happened with my Canon over there, but I think it just shut off, but who cares? That was the second angle, and so that's probably going to be worthless since I got most of the footage on the Sony. So, yeah, man, I appreciate coming on the show. I definitely learned a lot, just about you, and even, some stuff that I can start implementing into my work. And yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on me. I'm definitely glad, appreciate the opportunity to come on here.
Awesome. Well, Alrighty, guys. So if you guys can go do me a huge favor, I'm going to put the link, or I'm going to put Joe's Instagram, and you don't have any other social media really. It's just primarily Instagram, right?
Yeah, I think we got the YouTube channel that I've done a little bit of cinematics, or I think I've only got one clip on there. I'll link you we'll leave the YouTube and a couple of my other profiles too for photography stuff. Gotcha.
Or I'll just put a lot of, links to, some of his social channels. Go make sure to check him out. He really does have some really great work, and, I'm mighty impressed by him. So, as I said, like multiple times before, thank you for coming on the show. And yeah, we'll see you all in the next episode.